Hi everyone, this is the girls' rat cage. It is a Furplast. I'll put a picture of that up in a second, the label. It's quite a big cage, it's about 2.5 foot wide, maybe 18-inch deep, about 2 foot tall, just over. And the girls love it. This Furplast cage from Pets at Home, this was £80 2 years ago, so they might have gone up in price now. Maybe they might be £90 now. This cage comes with one water bottle, not these, a different one. It's ever so slightly smaller in diameter and height, but it's almost the same size as that. But it comes with one water bottle, a litter tray. Let me think, because I've had this cage 2 years now. I think it came with a hammock, which was reversible. It was blue nylon on one side, and it had got like a sheepskin pad on the other side, so it was all right for summer and winter. In summer you could give the girls the nylon to lay on and it'd keep them cool. In winter you could give them the sheepskin to lay on and that'd keep them warm. So that was quite good. And what else did it come with? Oh, there was a shelf that screwed onto the cage bars with thumb screws, plastic thumb screws. You basically drop the shelf in from above or post it through the hole if you really feel like that, and you hold it up to where you want it height wise, whichever corner you want it in. I think it would have fitted in all 4 corners, but I had it in the back corner over there. And then you reach around the outside of the cage and twist the thumb screws in to hold the shelf. There was a ramp from the shelf that went to the floor, as long as you didn't have the shelf too high. But what you could do, if you wanted the shelf high up, you could put the ramp down to, say, an igloo like that. This front door drops down and makes a perfect little ramp for the girls to crawl down onto the bedroom floor so that they can wander around. The lid for the cage, you twist these clips, there's 2 of them, and the whole lid lifts up like that. Now, I never leave that lid up because one time Chomp was on there and she was halfway in and halfway out. Nibbles was climbing up the back, like the other side of the cage door, and she got near the top and tipped it forward and the cage slammed down on Chomp. And they can be like a rat trap. Luckily, it didn't hurt Chomp. The reason it didn't hurt Chomp is my hand was in this as well. My arm and my hand, because I was doing something inside the cage. So luckily it didn't hit Chomp completely, but if it had, it would have really hurt her, more than likely. Whenever I'm not doing anything where I'm holding that lid, I normally just put the lid back down. Even if I don't lock it, I just put the lid back down. The only problem with the shelf and the ramp for it is, it's no problem with the design. My girls chew literally everything, and they chewed the supports for the shelf that clip the ramp into the shelves, and then eventually they chewed the shelf that much that it was no good, so I had to take it out of the cage. Like I say, I've had this cage 2 years and I've got 4 girls, so they're quite destructive rats, so they'll chew quite a lot. There comes Chomp. Chompy. The hammock they chewed, the original hammock, so I bought them one of these, like a rope hammock from Pets at Home, and it's got, if I pick one up, shower rings that you clip on to the cage bars. I've actually been through about 3 of those already in the last 2 years. The girls seem to chew the corners close to where the rings are. Once they've chewed so far through, the hammock's absolutely no good at all, because it all unwinds itself, because I think it's tied in one corner only, and then the rest of it's just weaved in and out of itself. So what happens is, they chew one corner, it all unweaves itself and then starts to droop. And then obviously they're dangerous then, because the rats can fall out of the hammocks, which has happened. Chomp's jumped on there, Nibbles has jumped on one of them, and they've landed on the igloo when they've gone through it. So that's just something to bear in mind and keep your eye on. The original hammock, they chewed the corners that clipped with those shower rings I've just shown you. One corner sagged, and then it was reasonably unsafe for the girls. You could probably have got away with just 3 connections and had it in a corner, but I stretched it across the cage so that the 4 girls had got more room. I think I'd got the 4 girls then when I had that. I think I did. But yeah, I stretched mine from side to side so that the girls have got more room to lay in the hammocks. They love these tubes. I've had to go out and buy 2 of them because I've got the 4 girls, and Chomp and Nibbles are quite big now. The 4 girls can fit in 1 tube, but you find that they're hanging out the end quite a lot on each side, and they're quite territorial. One of them doesn't get along with the other one, especially when they're in season. They just fight like cat and dog. With having a couple of tubes that they do love going in, at least the one that's in season can go in one of the tubes and the other 3 can lay in the other tube, and they will go to sleep in these tubes. In the wild, if rats went into a sewer tube, they'd sleep in it, so that's similar to a sewer tube in the wild for them. These lava shelves are okay, they just get really dirty really quick. Obviously, the girls wee and poo wherever they like, and unfortunately, they like pooing on hard surfaces, so they will just poo on the lava shelves. Short of scraping a complete layer of the pumice off to get rid of the muck, there's hardly any way to clean them. I've got a nail brush and I squirt some of the Clean and Safe spray onto them and give them a real good scrub, and then wipe them with kitchen roll, but they still don't come out perfect. They just stain after so long. So they've chewed quite a lot of the litter tray. That won't hang up anymore. If you wanted it to, it would. It had got 2 clips around the back, this corner, and it would clip into one of the corners of the cages, and you could raise it up to put something else underneath it. There's Nibbles, my shoulder wrap. But they've chewed the clips off that clip it into the corners, so it won't clip up anymore, so it's floor bound now. I did have a nice pink fleece on the floor all the way up over the whole cage floor, but again, the girls have chewed it and weed on it and messed it, and I think it was more this food, these pellets, or no matter what you give the girls, they chew it and dust comes off it. Then obviously they either wee on it, or the water bottles drip onto it, and it goes similar to wet Weetabix. It sticks to everything and it just doesn't come off. This cage floor, I have to scrape that with a plastic spoon, because the dust that's created from the food and the liquid content, the water, the wee that goes into the cage, sticks it really hard to the floor, and I have to scrape it first before I wipe it all out. So that's something to bear in mind. An idea that I did get from someone else's YouTube channel is, in the litter tray there is a pebble out the garden there. Sorry for the poo. The rats like weeing on hard surfaces, and they do like what they call wee stones. So if you're litter training rats, put a pebble in there and they'll wee on that instead of most of the cage. Well, they do have accidents. They're kind of like babies. They'll have accidents here and there and everywhere. There's Nibs having a drink. Another thing I've done is, these bottles, no matter how much they say on the instructions that they're non-drip, they do drip, unfortunately. And to save a mess all over the cage floor, I've put these food bowls underneath the water bottles, so when they drip into the food bowls instead of all over the floor, and then obviously the floor of the cage isn't waterlogged for the girls, and it's as nice and dry as it can possibly be. These little plastic things here that I've left on the cage. I leave them in on purpose because they're from these oat sticks. The girls basically chew the oat nut mixture and fruit mixture off the plastic pegs that you clip them up with. But then, if you look at these ones, they actually chew the plastic pegs because their teeth are always growing and they like having something to chew. Whenever they've used one of these oat sticks completely, I'll leave the plastic peg in there. Sometimes where there's 3 and they've not been chewing them, I'll take them off the cage bars and I'll move them somewhere else so they do chew on them. It promotes them to chew on them. I suppose chewing on those, which are pretty much free, they're like a waste product of these oat sticks. It's cheaper than buying wooden blocks and things for them to chew on, and they're there anyway. They are where the girls would eat, so they would naturally go there to chew on something, so they'd more likely chew on the plastic pegs than, say, the tube, which is quite expensive to replace.